Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I was not planning on mentioning that, but right in front of me, I don't know if Benji and Drew can get that picture. I see our stage. It's all covered. It's filled with a mountain of supplies that the temple has been collecting this month due to the generosity of our members and even people that are not our members who have been sending checks and gifts and Amazons and bringing stuff. So I want to give a big wow to Chava Johnson-Penner and the committee she chairs, the mitzvah makers, for initiating this drive to help the homeless people on our streets. This all goes to homeless people that are not in shelters, that are in camps and on the streets of our beautiful city, Louisville, and there are dozens and dozens of tents and sleeping bags and clothes and everything. And it's not the end. We know about 2 Bnei Mitzvah students that are collecting things and more things that are going to arrive. The month is not over, so if your spirit moves you, you are welcome to look at the website of the temple and to see the wish list from Amazon and to help us in this wonderful endeavor. So thank you, Chava, and thank you all the volunteers, and thank you everyone who has helped. But I was going to speak about the Torah portion. We have a wonderful Torah portion this week. Our ancestors finally get to leave Egypt. It happens at the end of the Torah portion. There is a lot of work before we get to that, but finally they're liberated. They're moving from bondage to freedom, from slavery to becoming free people. But before that, there are still 3 more plagues, and there's an amazing moment where our ancestors are actually celebrating Passover while they are still in Egypt. So they're celebrating an event that has not yet happened. There's a great lesson there, but I want to focus only on one verse from this Torah portion that brings a message that is so relevant to our country, to the United States of America, and actually to most of the world in this moment. The Torah portion begins with a mitzvah from Adonai to Moses, a commandment. Adonai says to Moses, Bo, which means come, unto Paro. In Hebrew, it actually means, or you can understand it, come inside Pharaoh. And that commandment grammatically doesn't make any sense. When you give a commandment for someone to go to meet someone else, you say to them, go to that person. You don't say to them, come unto that person. But this is not a mistake. And God says to Moses about a dozen times in last week's Torah portion and in this week's Torah portion, that same commandment. Our Torah portion is called Bo, which is after that commandment. Come unto Pharaoh. So it's a strange moment, and also you can't understand that. I mean, Moses doesn't want to go to Pharaoh anymore. Pharaoh already gave him a hard time about a dozen times. So why is God keep commanding Moses to go and encounter this evil, powerful ruler of Egypt? So the rabbis, in a beautiful commentary that is in the most sacred and the most mystical book in our tradition, the Zohar, that's the most important book of Jewish mysticism, of Kabbalah. The Zohar says the following, that this is how you bring redemption. You cannot ignore evil. We all think about some powerful people and officials that they are bad or evil. Usually we tend to think of the other side of the political map, that's the evil side, so everybody is convinced that the other side is actually the evil and that we are the good guys. But the Torah portion says to us, you're not going to bring peace, you're not going to bring redemption, you're not going to bring justice into the land if you just ignore what you see as evil and evil power. You have to continue to come into it, to negotiate with it. And the Zohar says, when you wrestle with someone, you also hug them. Okay, I never wrestled, but you can see the picture of people almost hugging. So there is that moment of embracement that you embrace someone. And that is how you deal with evil, and you continue, and you never give up. Just like God is not letting Moses give up on coming into or unto Pharaoh in our Torah portion. The Zohar, this mystical interpretation, even goes on and says, redemption and peace and justice and understanding and unity will come just like light overcomes darkness and day overcomes night. It doesn't happen at once. It's not like you walk into your room in your house and you turn on the light. If you are awakened early enough in the morning, you see that it's dark and then there's a little bit light and darkness are kind of embracing one another or wrestling with one another, and then little by little it becomes light. And the same thing is in a human society, in human life. If you give up on evil, or what you see as evil, and probably the ones that you see as evil think that you are evil, if you give up on them, if you don't continue to come unto them and to embrace them and wrestle and struggle and negotiate and be in a dialogue, then redemption will never come. And the redemption of Israel comes only when we don't stop giving up on what we see as the other side or the evil side, just like the morning light eventually comes. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And we turn now to page 216 for our anthem, Sim Shalom, asking God to bring peace, wholeness, and wellness to all humanity.